Here's a quick video on how to remove your E90 M3 steering wheel, as well as installing a new one and even changing out the paddles. So no matter what you're doing with the steering wheel, you're going to have to remove the airbag. And before you touch the airbag, you want to go ahead and disconnect the negative terminal on your battery. You can even do the positive as well if you like, but at least do the negative. Once that's disconnected, then all you really need to pull out this airbag is just one tool. This T20 screwdriver is going to be able to pull out the airbag, even change the paddles, and only other thing that you're going to need to remove the steering wheel is a 16mm socket. So let me just show you guys on this new steering wheel that we're going to be installing on how the airbag is held in place. So if we look at the back of this steering wheel, you're going to notice there's two sections where it looks like somebody tore a hole in the leather. But in reality, that's the only way that you're going to be able to remove the airbag. There should be an opening on your steering wheel as well, even if it hasn't been cut open yet. Once you stick a screwdriver through there, it'll automatically put like a little slit just like this. So if you look at it on this side, you can see where the screwdriver is going to come through right here. And even on this metal plate, there's an indent on both sides. So what happens is when that screwdriver comes through here, this metal clip, you're going to push it with the screwdriver. You're going to push this metal clip towards the center of the steering wheel. And you can do this one at a time. So get one side pushed in and lift the airbag out, and then do the same thing on the other side as well. Now obviously this is a lot easier said than done, because you're gonna have to just fiddle with it on your steering wheel. You're gonna have to feel for it, get that spring, because you can't see anything. On this steering wheel we can see everything, so it's easy to see if we're on it or not. I've got to insert it into the leather. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna push it all the way through, and you should be able to feel the metal that I was showing you on there right off the bat. And you're gonna feel that spring push back on you once you're on the spring. So now I've got that spring pushed in, this side's popped out. Now we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Now you wanna feel with your finger first, and you're gonna feel it dip into a certain spot. And that's where you're gonna insert your screwdriver. So you can see when I'm pushing it, it's leaving a little bit of an outline. And you see it just slides right in. There's no pressure to it. Now what you want to do is you kind of want to push the screwdriver away from you. That way it tilts towards that metal plate that I showed you on the steering wheel. And then you just push it on the spring and it'll pop it right out. Now sometimes if one side's out too far, no matter if you're trying to push the spring in on the other side, it won't release the airbag. So you might have to push one side in a little bit and just keep wiggling it around until you're able to just pop both of them out. Now to remove the airbag, you're gonna have these two plugs right here. One's green, one's black. You want to pry up this tab first on each of the connectors. So there's a little indent where you can stick a screwdriver in there. Once both of those tabs are raised, you'll hear it click and lock. Then you just pull the connector out. And these are color coded, so you don't need to worry. So now I'm just going to show you how to remove the paddles if you're only changing the paddles. So we're going to remove these wires off of this holder right here. Now once you have these wires removed from this holder, you can see this pair of brown wires. You're going to follow that down. It's got a sticker on it as well. Free it up, and it just plugs into the side of this control panel right here. So you're gonna pull the connector out. Unfortunately, there's not really too many options you have in terms of grabbing the connector to pull it out. So you might have to use these wires a little bit, but try to grab onto the connector as much as you can. Now with that out, it's very straightforward on removing the actual paddle itself. You're just gonna need a T20 screwdriver, and you're just gonna loosen the screw. And now feed the connector out as well. And there's your paddle. Now the process is the same on this side as well. You want to follow this pair of brown wires, get them freed up, and you just want to disconnect it by pulling the connector out. And then you just have the T20 screw right here. Now, if you're gonna be replacing the steering wheel as well, you're gonna need to disconnect these connectors because you can see how there's a wire that goes to the steering wheel itself for a ground. So technically you could just release this screw. I believe that's a T10, and also disconnect this for the control panel, and you'll be able to pull the whole steering wheel off. But for us, we're just gonna disconnect these connectors because we have them on the new steering wheel. To disconnect it, you just wanna push this tab in. It slides right out. For this one, you just wanna pry against, and it'll pull right out. It's just held in by pressure with this tab right here. Now with both of these out, all we really need to do is loosen this screw and then pull it right off. This is a 16mm bolt. Pops right out. Once you have the bolt out, now we're just gonna gently tap the steering wheel towards you and it should slide right out. Now when you're putting this steering wheel on, so you can see a section where there's no grooves right here in the center. And on the steering column, there's also a line where there's no grooves. So if you put the 2 and 2 together, you want to line that groove up with the other groove, and that's going to center your steering wheel. The torque rating for the steering wheel bolt is between 46 to 48 foot-pounds. So get that torque down, and then we can continue. Now it's just reassembling everything. You just plug everything back in the same way it came out. But like always, I'm still gonna show you. So we're gonna start out by plugging this black plug in first. Just push it straight in. The airbag connector also pushes straight in. And you should hear a very faint audible click with the airbag connector to show you that it's in. And now we can actually install the paddles. So when you're installing the paddle, you wanna make sure you route the wire in first. You don't want it to get pinched anywhere. Then get it lined up. Take your T20 screw and you just simply screw it in. Now we're just gonna plug the connector back in. Just pushes in, and we can tuck it back how it was. We're gonna repeat the process on the other side. Get everything lined up, and then thread the T20 screw in. Route the wire. Make sure everything is tucked in. And now once again for the airbag connectors, make sure these clips are already pulled up. You want to push the connector in first, make sure it's secure, and then you push this black tab in. Now you can see there's these 2 tabs on the back of the airbag, and those need to go into those springs that we pushed in earlier. So it should just line up automatically. You don't really need to do anything but just push. And you'll hear an audible click when it snaps into place. And just like that, we've completed a steering wheel swap. So this was all performed on a 2011 BMW M3. If you're interested in this steering wheel or paddles or anything like that, I'll have all that stuff linked down below for aftermarket stuff as well as OEM plus modifications.